So what do we have now? I am sensitive to the time. What do we have now? We have a transitional vacuum. After dictatorship, any dictator leaves a vacuum behind him. Because how did he become a dictator? By creating that vacuum in the country. Anyone who has some kind of a backbone or clear thinking or some kind of courage, he gets rid of them until the country is empty. So when he goes, there is emptiness. And this is what is happening on all these countries that is going through that. And vacuum is a very dangerous thing because you cannot control what will fill it. Suck the air out of this room, you don't know what kind of air will come in. It will come from a garbage dump, it will come from a cesspool, it can come from a rose garden, but you cannot control it. And this is part of the problem now. It is a very denerving period. I'm focusing now on Egypt for two reasons. Number one, I am more familiar with the Egyptian events, not because I study, because that revolution started in 1952. And there is an article in the LA Times, I can give you the date and now, called Second Trial for Democracy in Egypt, about that beginning of the revolution, and I was part of that, and there is a picture in the LA Times of students who crossed the Qasr al-Nil bridge, passed by Tahrir Square, went to Abdin Square where the palace of the president is, to topple the dictator down and bring back democracy, but it was frustrated for several reasons, and the article is there. My wife likes to believe that she saw me in that crowd. I couldn't. So I'm very familiar with that. I have a sense of ownership of what's happening now. Because what's happening on the surface is started on January 25, but in reality, it started in March 1952. With all the victims, all the bravery, all the students who fell smothered in their blood and everything, but it was aborted. And also because Egypt is, regardless to the fact that I'm an Egyptian, but it is the pacemaker of that area of the world. It is not a corner store country. Even if it doesn't have the same money or the same oil, thanks God we were not inflicted by the curse of oil in Egypt. But nonetheless, Egypt is the pace setter and the pacemaker of that area, the Arab, the Muslim, and part of the African world. What happens in Egypt will have a ripple effect over them. Because of what is happening in Egypt, and because it is so important, we should think about the question, what will happen then? I think either things will go on the right track, and by that I mean a very uphill, struggling walk towards a healthy democracy. Or it will deteriorate into chaos and civil wars and sectarianism, etc. So it is a very difficult labor pain. We just pray and hope that it will end in the right way. Am I optimistic? In the long run, I am. In the short run, I am tightening my seat belts because it is very bumpy. And we should not lose our hope or our nerve. The most dangerous potential is the revolution to be hijacked. The potential hijackers. Number one, the counter-revolution, as it was very astutely said, the old regime still has its claws deep in the flesh of Egypt. These elections that are going to come, the vice president of Mubarak, the head of intelligence of Mubarak, one of the prime ministers of Mubarak, a minister in the cabinet of Mubarak, and the whole intelligence and secret police system and the whole propaganda system presented in the media and TV are still intact. And they have money. And so they are potential hijackers. Add to that the five-star hotel that they call jail, Torah jail, and I know very well that the jail of Torah does not look like what it looks now. I can swear to you, and trust me on this without going into details. There are people really enjoying very good life, and that's okay. Maybe it is part of the human right that starts at the top all of a sudden. But nonetheless, it's okay. I don't mind prisoners to be happy. But they have cell phones, free access to contact whomever they like, and they have tons of money. What do you think this will lead to? It will lead to what we are having now. The military institution, then the Islamists. And allow me 2 minutes to cover that because I know that it is on the mind of everybody. When we talk about Islamists, this is a very big term. It boiled down to two parties. The Muslim Brotherhood Party that took 40% of the seats, and the Salafi Party that took 20% of the seat. And the theory that together they will be a majority. Let me tell you, and quote me, they will never be together, to start with. There is so much to separate the Muslim Brotherhood from the Salafi Wahhabi trend, more than what it separates the Muslim Brotherhood from any other liberal or Western or communist party. So that fear is not justified. The Muslim Brotherhood are in, I wouldn't say in politics, are under persecution for 80 continuous years. This gave them 4 characteristics: resilience, pragmatism, ability to division, ability to organize and galvanize. So when they say it was a surprise that the Islamists won, I don't see what's surprising here. The country is empty. This is a group that formed under fire, survived almost for a century, and they developed these characteristics, so naturally it will. And I am optimistic that through the internal dynamics in the Muslim Brotherhood, particularly at the youth level, they will change course, and they will be more honest about democracy, because everyone wants democracy. About the Salafi group, I think if they survive, and I think they would, if they survive for a second round of elections, they will fail. So our job is to maintain that quasi-democracy until elections happen again after 4 years. And you will be then surprised by the results. There are so many other points, but I wanted to be responding to answers rather than talking about things that we might not care too much about. Thank you very much.